Easier to groom a child because an adult always has a position of power over a child. I am Anthony Zankis. I am an expert in the fields of sexual violence, family violence, and trauma. It's really hard to just look at somebody and say that person's a predator. What you have to do is look at the behaviors and listen to the things that they say.
We met before. It's hard to forget those eyes. Look at those eyes. Look at it.
Can I own it just alone?
Very good.
Very clear warning signs are adults who ignore children's boundaries when it comes to touching, kissing, holding, or tickling. They will engage in those behaviors with the child and continue them despite the fact that a child squirms away or pulls away or voices any sort of discomfort verbally or non-verbally. Most adults take those cues and realize, oh, they don't want to be hugged or tickled right now, and that's fine. Sex offenders and predators just plow right through it. Another is sexualizing a child by talking about dating or their bodies in a way that would not be appropriate for their age.
How old are you, 17? Oh, 6. You're turning 11. You're beautiful. Just remember, no dates to your 30. No dates to your 30 years old.
In my field, we often say that child sex predators don't just groom children, they groom families and communities. Seeing these behaviors in an adult doesn't mean that adult is a predator or would ever harm a child. But what it does do is it sets that child up to grow up in a world where they view these violations of personal space as normal, and that's unacceptable. Everyone, regardless of their gender expression or age, deserves to walk through this world with their physical boundaries intact and not living in fear that they'll be violated. Offenders have depended on not only the silence of their victims, but our silence. If we allow children the permission to say no or speak up for them when they can't, we're going to go a long way in preventing so much harm.
Family about their business dealings. That was a lie. Whistleblowers described President Biden as chairman of the board for these businesses. He personally participated in meetings and phone calls. Documents show that he was a partner with access to an office. To be clear, Joe Biden is the big guy. This evidence raises troubling questions about whether President Biden is a national security risk and about whether he is compromised by foreign governments. Despite the president's claim that he wasn't involved in Biden family business schemes, these photos show Joe Biden meeting with his family associates while vice president. Right there behind Paul. 4 different pictures. Committee Republicans have identified over 50 countries the Biden family sought businesses in. On the international side of the Biden family business, the deals were often led by Hunter Biden. And that map there behind Clay shows all the countries where the Bidens had a footprint in international business dealings. The investigation reveals a family that engaged with some of America's most powerful adversaries, planning to sell one of the largest sources of cobalt for electric vehicles in the world to the Chinese, for example. The Bidens flourished and became millionaires by simply offering access to the family. Among the dozens of shell companies the Bidens set up, there were millions of dollars of wire transfers, flights on Air Force Two to conduct personal business, and meetings with heads of state, all while Joe Biden was aware of what was happening. All the while, he turned a blind eye. Many transactions related to these businesses have raised red flags at U.S. banks. A suspicious activity report, or SAR, is a document a bank must file with the Treasury Department when a transaction is suspected to be related to money laundering or fraud or other types of criminal activity. According to media reports, the Biden family accumulated over 150 SARs. One SAR generated by an American bank to the Treasury Department connects Hunter Biden and his business associates to international human trafficking, among other illegal activities. The money that was being made from foreign principals in the same room as Joe Biden was increasingly spent on furthering illegal activity. The SARs show that Hunter Biden was conducting business with suspected human traffickers. The money gained through influence peddling was funneled to a suspected criminal enterprise, again, one linked to human trafficking. We have repeatedly called on the Biden Treasury Department to release additional financial documents to committee Republicans, but thus far Treasury has refused. We want to know what the Biden administration is trying to hide from the American people and why they are not being transparent. We also found evidence Hunter Biden sought to evade these SARs using his financial advisor, coincidentally a Clinton administration official. We will continue to pursue all evidence, and specifically the SARs and bank records in the new Congress. As part of our investigation, we have evidence that the finances, credit cards, and bank accounts of Hunter and Joe Biden were commingled, if not shared. And on some accounts, at least, red flags were raised by banks to the account owner or owners indicating suspicious or illegal activity. One of Hunter's closest associates, Eric Sherwin, was accessing Joe Biden's money and writing checks to reimburse Hunter. Sherwin arranged the Biden's international deals around the world. At the same time, he was a frequent visitor to the White House and Joe Biden during the Obama administration, visiting close to 30 times and sometimes with international business partners and Hunter, according to Hunter's calendar. Sherwin was also the president of Hunter's company and was appointed by President Obama to a position in the administration. After an apparent falling out with Sherwin, Hunter began coordinating business himself, and increasingly the deals brought in Joe Biden as a direct equity holder. One of these deals involves the sale of American natural gas to China. Evidence suggests Joe Biden had a 10% equity stake through his son. And behind Glenn and Andrew is a map from Hunter's laptop. This was a PowerPoint presentation on his laptop in Chinese that they used in working with the Chinese. Now, let's think about this for a second. At a time when Americans are suffering from high energy prices because of this administration's terrible energy policy, we find evidence that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were involved in a scheme to try to get China to buy liquefied natural gas, and from a whistleblower to try to get their foot in the door with China starting to purchase an interest in natural gas drillers. Now, people are in outrage over China buying farmland in the Dakotas. What about China starting to buy into our American energy industry at a time when we have an energy crisis because of the bad policies of the Biden administration? Now, let that sink in. Hunter brought in millions of dollars from this deal from entities tied to the Chinese government. In emails obtained by committee Republicans, Hunter wanted keys made for Joe Biden and Jim Biden, his office mate. He provided Joe Biden's personal cell number and called him his partner. The other partners in that deal were two people closely tied to the Chinese Communist Party. And that's the, behind Andy and Jim, that's the email where Hunter sent to the landlord requesting keys, and the Chinese partners were on the email, and where he said, you know, Joe would need a key, and he even put Joe's cell phone number on there. Domestically, Jim Biden, Joe Biden's brother, used the Biden name to enrich himself in return for the promise that when Joe Biden became president in 2020, business partners would get rich by having access to a future Biden administration. By promising access to financing through Middle Eastern, Russian, and Chinese connections he made through Joe Biden, and by bringing his brother Joe Biden onto phone calls, Jim Biden was able to convince companies to give him loans of hundreds of thousands of dollars that he never repaid. The Biden administration has answered none of our requests for information regarding the Biden family or the financial transactions they engaged in. Instead, the Biden administration has spent over $250,000 to staff to, quote, deflect Hunter stories. Protecting the president's son who has committed crimes with Americans' tax dollars is a waste. The domestic and international scheme that promised access to wealth in a future Biden administration constitute fraud. And the president's participation in enriching his family is, in a word, abuse of the highest order. Rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse will be the primary goal of a Republican House Oversight Committee. As such, this investigation will be a top priority. We are releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We are also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary productions of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the President of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the president's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, and that's where the committee will focus in this next Congress.
This girl on the left and this boy on the left side walk into frame. They're getting ready. They're talking. Pull masks off. You got look at that girl in the back left. Watch her.
Repeat after me.
Watch the girl in the back left.
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. do solemnly
She's
swear.
gone.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
Did you catch that?
execute.
And so the audio went perfectly. Watch the audio. Watch the audio. There she is.
After me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden
Perfect
Jr.
movie production. So they step into frame. You got the boy on the left with the red tie. Didn't see him either. And then you have the girl with all white. The next thing you know, they pull the masks off. He puts his hand up, and boom, they're gone. The edit of this movie, they messed up. The director really messed up. They say, oh, no, they're standing right behind him. Really? Look real close. There she is. Remember, that boy is right there next to him. He could have disappeared, right? No, his shoulder is gone. She looks over at him, little laugh, and next thing you know, she's gone. Where'd they film this? Well, let's go a step further. On the top right, you see that day was a beautiful, beautiful day. Right? Beautiful, beautiful day. And then, let me see if I can zoom in on this. Let me go right here. I'll pull this right here up. And you'll notice, top right, beautiful day, right? Sunshine. And then the webcam from the Capitol, Washington, D.C., January 20, 2021. Overcast skies, kind of dark. Huh. What's going on? Well, we got this video that was put out. It's in the description box, folks, if you didn't know that. If you're new to this channel, I try to put as many links as possible of all the stuff that I find right there. I'll put it below, but that's how I collect it all. And old Scotty on YouTube, I can't subscribe to him because they won't let me have a channel. Well, Scotty Films put this out, and you got Steve Mnuchin, is an American investment banker and film producer who served as the 77th United States Secretary. So you go a step further, you can see all these films from none other than Castle Rock Entertainment. Well, what did the German Foreign Office mean by this photo? You're watching a movie. The return of the United States to the WHO and Paris Agreement, the prospect of early talks on the future of the JCPOA on the President of the United States, Joe Biden's first day in office. All this points to a new kind of cooperation. And look at that. There's a picture. Sure does look like a movie set, doesn't it? It sure enough does. What did they mean by that tweet? Huh? Pretty interesting, right? As you go to that. Thank you, Amazing Polly, for that. Pointing out these things. Shall we play a game? Nothing can stop what's coming. More coming. Why is this relevant? How do you show the public the truth? The show. Right? You go down, remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you've got Castle Rock Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Sometimes a good movie can provide a lot of truth and or background, official secrets. Relevant today. You see it more relevant than ever. Well, then you go a step further. Watch and listen closely as old Biden signs documents. Check this out. I don't know what I'm signing. He signs it anyways. And this is another one, folks. I just kind of throw little things here and there, left and right. It doesn't really match everything, but it's just interesting, right, that there's a Hillary here on the right that's super short with old Bill, and then there's a Hillary that's super tall up to his nose on the right side. Which Hillary do we have today? Who knows? Look at this comparison. Rudy Giuliani had just a quick Twitter post. He didn't post these pictures, but I thought this was interesting, right? The American people were at best virtual participants in today's inaugural. It was a purely staged media event for the elite. All other Americans were invited. And so here we go. Notice that President Trump, as he's sitting in the Oval Office, the wallpaper's straight up and down on the back lines there. So on the right, look at the wallpaper change. And I'm going to explain this more as we get through. Let's see if I can zoom in on that right there. You guys see that? Pretty cool. As we go a step further, I think I zoomed in too much, so we're going to have to just go out a little bit on that. You'll notice that one Oval Office is available from Castle Rock Pictures, which built an extensive White House set, East Wing and West Wing, on the Culver lot in Los Angeles for the 1990 film The American. That's right. So if you look at this right here, I'm going to go right here, you'll notice the set on the top left of for Castle Rock Entertainment, the picture's replica of the Oval Office. Notice all of the things match where Biden is sitting of a movie production set. And so what were we told in the 17th Intel Group 4414 post? Remember, we were at Red 1, 2, 3, 4, Red 5, Red 6. Those were all leading up to the end of this thing called Castle Rock that we didn't understand, but now it seems to be falling into place. One Oval Office is available from Castle Rock Pictures. It's been used by Disney's Nixon and 20th Century Fox's Independence Day. Huh. Notice just the similarity there with that one.
What did I tell y'all?
Is based on what you.
All right, Joe. If you were paying attention, you'll know this question's about COVID-19. You know all the statistics, 200,000 dead. Just keep talking, don't let him interrupt you. If you get tripped up or anything, we're going to be talking in your ear. Anything you hear from this point on will be repeated out loud. Good luck.
Good luck.
No, shh.
200,000.